entrepreneurs and professionals of Tampa Bay. Welcome to your hour for getting the information, the tools, and the connections for elevating your business. Welcome to Getting the Edge with Kelly Wilson. And here's your host, Kelly Wilson.
Welcome to Getting the Edge. I'm your host, Kelly Wilson. Thank you so much for joining us. I know you could be a million other places, and we are so happy that you decided to be right here with us today. So thank you so much. Edge is brought to you by Edge Media Hub. For more information on the business community providing media solutions, check out edgemedia.com for more information. With Edge, it's not only business, it's personal. Getting the Edge is a great opportunity to learn from business owners and community leaders right here from the Tampa Bay area. And we share stories. I'm a firm believer that you can learn a lot from each other. And that's just what we do. Now in our 7th year, it's really exciting. I do talk a lot, but I've learned to stop occasionally and take in what I can from others. I think the older we get, the more we realize that we know less. I want to thank our Season 7 Getting the Edge sponsors, Urban E-Recycling. Thank you so much. Visit urbanerecycling.com for more information. Thank you to WeBeam TV, John Gaston and his amazing crew. Our Edge Platinum partners, thank you to All Trust Insurance, Pilot Bank, USF Muma College of Business, and Visit Tampa Bay. Total Access with Edge, it's about the community, and it all begins with annual partnerships. And there's multiple levels depending on if you're a solo entrepreneur or a small business, or for our corporate partners. So check it out. We have limited, I believe everything's 50% off through the end of March. So definitely check it out. We're really excited about our second annual celebration of women. It's just been amazing the last couple weeks. I'm already very inspired and optimistic and pretty just happy. And I have been, I've had the opportunity to spend time with these amazing women and learn their stories. And I'll share a little bit of that as we get into the conversation. But again, thank you so much for being here. Definitely check us out. Stay subscribed to the magazine, and stay up to date. We hope to resume our magical events later this year. So all those details are on the website. So stay tuned. And I'm really excited about the show today. It's a great opportunity to have a friend of mine that I think 20 plus, or at least, I don't know. We'll discuss it. But I'm really excited to have Hugh Campbell with us today.
I'm just so happy to be here.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
so great to have you. Yeah, I think we talked, or I've been putting it in your ear to get you here eventually. But
Well, I think we talked about it a year ago.
Yeah,
when the
that's
pandemic hit, and so
that's right.
Here we are, a year later.
Yeah, and it has gone fast though, right? But it is great to be back in the studio.
But not fast enough.
Yeah, well, I can't believe it's March already.
That's right.
Anyway, it seems like it was just New Year's.
Right, it was just like a couple days ago, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. It does seem that way. Yeah. So, how are you these days? Are you doing well? Has it 20 years? I'm trying to think.
This is 20. Yeah.
So we had mutual friends when we were formerly married,
yep.
and couples that hung out together, and we had a great time.
That's right.
And I guess, I've been divorced since 2008-ish. Mm-hmm. So this was early 2000s. I had my daughter in 2000, so.
Oh my goodness, so yeah, it's gotta be.
How old is your son now?
My son is 13, and he's 5'8" and wears a size 12 shoe.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So are you enjoying fatherhood, I'm sure?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a blast.
Yeah.
It is a blast. It's more fun than I ever imagined, quite honestly.
And so you just had the one, right?
Just one son.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I saw you somewhere, you seem to travel and do quite a bit with them. I'm sure when you can take time off, it's not too easy, I'm sure.
Yeah, the most recent thing that we did was we took an adventure trip, and we went to an adventure resort in West Virginia.
Okay.
And so, a lot of outdoorsy stuff, and we did some whitewater rafting and some zip lining and all those kinds of things. So it was great bonding time, all that stuff. It was great.
Zip lining, I have not done that yet. I'm quite an adrenaline junkie.
Yeah. You got to try it.
Yeah.
The one that we did was a total of 9 zip lines, and then 2 footbridges, and the footbridges were like Indiana Jones. You know, the whole thing is rocking around. You got to clip in.
You sign a release for your life?
Absolutely. Absolutely. They're not going to let you do that without signing something. But yeah, it was a blast. It was a blast.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
So Hugh, you're the president of AC4S Technologies.
Yes, ma'am.
And let's talk, tell us about, what is AC4S?
AC4S Technologies. So we are a tech support company. We help businesses with their technology needs. You know, at the very simplest thing is an outsourced help desk. But really what we've been doing is helping people migrate to the cloud. We've been helping with cybersecurity. That's a big deal.
Yeah,
It's never going away. And more recently, we've been doing intelligent buildings.
You have an interesting background, and I didn't know you were a graduate of West Point.
I am, yes.
Congratulations on that accomplishment.
Thank you. It was hard. It was not fun, but there's some great times. But you know, certainly.
Okay, well,
it's a
I'd love
challenge.
to talk about that as well. So, where are you from originally?
So I was born and raised in Connecticut, and then I moved to Chicago.
I like Connecticut. It's just such a great Eastern.
It is beautiful in the summertime.
I've been studying or researching, small town, beach town.
That's right.
Is that what they call it? I guess, yeah, beach towns.
Yeah. So typically what I do is I go back during the summers, escape the heat down here
Right, yeah,
and the humidity,
that sounds ideal.
and usually go somewhere on the Connecticut shore. It's a hour train ride to New York City, so you can go down the city and see what's good, and then you go back and be into the the small town USA kind of thing. It's great.
Yeah. So how old were you? Born in Connecticut, moved to Chicago.
Yep.
And why did you move to Chicago?
So my dad was a Methodist minister, and so every 3 to 5 years he would get a new church. And what I didn't really understand at the time, being a kid, having to move and get new friends and start school over and all that stuff, was I didn't realize how ambitious he was. So he was always in search of the next biggest church. I didn't realize that until much later in high school and actually in college. So my dad always was get a new church, and away we went.
So he found a church in Chicago then?
Yep,
Yeah.
big one.
Is that right? So and then you grew up in Chicago.
Yep.
It's a great city as well.
It is a beautiful city. It gets a lot of bad news press currently, but it's a beautiful city. There's lots going on there. It's tremendous communities, very diverse, and the architecture and right there on Lake Michigan. It's pretty incredible.
Growing up in Indianapolis, I was close, and I didn't appreciate it as a child, the architecture, and just and the city itself. But I've been able to go back a few times and enjoy it.
Indianapolis is home to the NCAA, and they're doing a lot of stuff there. It's great.
It is a basketball city for sure. It really was cool growing up in the Bobby Knight era.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, we didn't get the Colts until I don't remember. I'm not going to age well. We talk about that all the time on the show. But
so did you know Bobby Knight was a coach at West Point?
I did not know that.
He was?
Actually, I think I read it now that you said that. I think I read it somewhere.
That was early in his career, very early in his career, before he gained all the fame and fortune.
So, and I've been fortunate to have a few West Point graduates on the show. And what inspires one to go to West Point?
So, I didn't know much about West Point. My dad was a minister, and we were, in that community, and really didn't know much about it at all. And once I went there, well, first off, all of the college literature, you get stuff from all over. It was just so significantly different than every other college.
And it's very selective.
It is. Most of the kids there, they're either going to MIT or Harvard, Yale, or one of the service academies. The thing that drew me to it was the history. It is just absolutely amazing, the history surrounding that particular institution in our nation's history.
When was it founded?
1802.
Oh, I did not know that.
1802.
Wow.
And you know, there a few years ago, I don't know if they still have it now, but they had a particular web page, and it highlighted all the graduates, and it's a pretty impressive roster of graduates from, you know, U.S. presidents to, you know, some of the folks that helped found AOL, and you know, those people served not only in the military, but they served the country in building lots of infrastructure, in tackling some of our nation's toughest problems.
Yeah, and early on when, right? And kind
Absolutely.
of was in the forefront of
Absolutely.
that technology growth.
So one of the first colleges to actually hand out computers to every student.
Oh, really?
Back in the day. That was a long time ago.
What? So you met? Were the other schools that you were thinking, and then or it was
So quite honestly, you know, I was looking at all technical institutions. I wanted to be an engineer.
And did you get a scholarship? Like how? Oh my goodness! Like is that how?
So it's a full ride scholarship.
Oh, it is. Okay.
And in fact, you know, they pay you a stipend while you're there. So it's a tremendous financial opportunity as well. But you're obligated to serve in the Army. All the service academies, you're obligated to serve for at least 5 years. I chose to do 10 before departing active duty, and I came here to Tampa.
Had you spent time in Tampa?
I came here to Tampa on a temporary assignment. I came back again for some meetings, and I was like, it was an amazing place. And I was like, you can get stationed here, and as an Army guy, and
I guess so. I never really thought about it.
yeah, because you know,
MacDill is like a hub.
it's an Air Force base,
Right.
but clearly it's what we call joint. So Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines are all there.
Represented.
Exactly. And what most people don't know is MacDill Air Force Base has the highest concentration of generals outside of the Pentagon. So it's right here.
I guess I have heard that because, you know, if they're gonna, you know, target someone or something, Tampa may not be the place you want to be, right?
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So you've been here ever since. So what year was that when you moved?
I came to Tampa in 1996. So Tampa is a radically different place now, but it was exciting then, and I think it's exciting now.
Yeah, I was, I guess, just a couple of years before you, but it's amazing to see the growth over the last, it's changed a lot, obviously, and I think we have a lot more to look forward to.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Yes.
Our future is bright. It's amazing.
So so then what do you decide you're going to do? So you 10 years, you move here.
So I decided, well, what actually happened is one of the folks that worked for me retired and got out of the military and went to go work for a great company here in town. And they called me up and said, hey, sir, you ever think about getting out of the military? Because these guys are hiring. It's a great company. It was a company called Intermedia Communications.
Because you've been focused in telecommunications, so that was your main focus at West Point.
So my degree is in engineering management, so managing technical people, and we had to concentrate in one of the hard sciences, hard engineering disciplines, and I chose electrical engineering. And so
is managing technical people difficult?
Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Yes.
There's an art to it.
It's an art and a science. Well, I mean, what we've learned over the years is just like anything else. There's all kinds of people, and you got to learn how
all kinds of personalities.
All kinds of personalities, and you got to learn how to manage those personalities to get the most out of them. And technology is ever changing, and so there's some coaching, mentoring, cajoling sometimes.
Well, and you're one of those tech geeks too, right?
Not as much as I used to be, but
I'm well, you definitely had interest in it, or you wouldn't have pursued telecommunications in that field to begin with. So,
absolutely,
yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
So, did you ever consider the ministry?
I did as a kid, and I actually, I haven't really talked about this in ages, but actually thought about it, following your dad's footsteps,
Yeah.
and actually even did a quote unquote trial sermon. It didn't go too well, so I figured I should do
With your
something
dad,
else.
like at your dad's church?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I'm surprised. Like you wouldn't do that more often, and just kind of, do you visit and just pop in and do guest appearances?
As
the
the
pastor's son.
the
Yeah,
preacher's
yeah.
kid, right? So
That's
obviously
funny.
he gave me a shot at it. It didn't go so hot, so we decided to go with engineering.
You never know. I can, you're a very optimistic and passionate, leader, and I could see you doing that. You never know.
Well, I
maybe
appreciate
it's in your latter chapters of life, right?
You never know.
You're still very young.
You never know.
Yeah. Okay. So then, did you always know you would co-found your own company? Did you get the bug like when early on?
So no.
How did that happen?
So, as a kid, in looking at West Point and some of the people that graduated from there, I knew that there would be great opportunities, and I thought from a very practical perspective, I thought that I would participate in the military-industrial complex, and we've done that at one point, but really becoming an entrepreneur and starting my own company came out of going into corporate after getting out of the military. Great company I was a part of, but I ran into the glass ceiling. My boss was leaving to go to a startup company. He now actually does a significant portion of the global infrastructure for Google.
Oh, wow.
He lives in Sweden. But he was leaving, and I went into his boss, the senior vice president for the engineering department, and said, "Hey, I'd like to put my name in the hat for that job." And they told me I was too young. So, everybody in the company knew I was going to get that job. So when that didn't happen.
How old were you at that
Oh
point?
my gosh, I was probably 33 years old. So, I was going to have a very senior position in the engineering department of a $1 billion organization. But they said I was too young, and I was naturally disappointed by that. And word got out in the company that I didn't get the job, and a couple folks approached me and said, "Hey, would you be interested in meeting with some venture capitalists? We're going to start a company, and we're going to need a vice president of engineering." And they asked me if I was interested. My response was, "Oh yeah, let's do it."
Yeah. It's interesting how often things happen. One door closes and another opens. It happens all the time, and
Absolutely.
it's wonderful. As I have the pleasure of talking to so many amazing, business owners. Just the pieces of the puzzle that come together and ultimately, create, who we become. But
And I will tell you, that's a
nice.
great point because, when you're going through it, it's hard to
Right,
see,
right.
This door is closing, you're mad, you're disappointed,
Oh, yeah.
all of
Yes,
those,
yes.
typical emotions. But, I think the healthiest attitude is, okay, so this presents an opportunity now. What is that thing gonna be, right?
I think it's hard to know that when we're younger, because a lot of times things happen, we're disappointed,
Yeah.
and we just don't think that way.
And the
But
wisdom, yeah.
as we get older and hopefully learn from what we're going through, we can kind of reflect back and see, okay, well, if this wouldn't have come together, or if this hadn't happened, or if had I got this all along, which I really wanted it, then this couldn't have happened. So
I will tell you that not getting that promotion was the best thing that could have ever happened to me.
it's crazy how that happens, right?
So,
And then so you start vice president.
so we went and did that startup company with venture capitalists out of New York City.
And so what was that experience like working?
So,
with them.
it's all fresh and new. The great thing, it was a great learning experience.
It was great that you had that corporate environment and that to go on, because
Right.
not to mention the structure from West Point,
Right.
and your 10 years in the Army.
That's right. And so it was a great learning experience and applying, I tell people, that I was applying everything I had ever learned, from a technical perspective, a management leadership perspective, supervisory perspective, all of those things. And then obviously the technology, but dealing with venture capitalists and that particular investment house, they had a theme and they had the things that they were concerned about.
But everybody has strict guidelines, whether you're corporate or whether it's venture capitalists. They all have guidelines that they're going to insist that you follow. But
absolutely.
Yeah. So I guess that's to be expected.
Absolutely.
I'm sure it was amazing to be a part of something new, and it did really well.
Well, I will tell you that
sold
that first one. We actually we were doing ultra high speed internet, and we were building out networks around the country. And quite honestly, we were late to the party because we ended up with the .com bubble bursting, and so we actually sold that company off in pieces and parts. The great news was, we did make some money, and I didn't have to work or whatever, and it gave me the opportunity to step back and figure out what would I do next, because I knew then, having the taste, that I couldn't go back into the corporate environment and start over again. I had already had that bug, hey, we can take an idea, a concept, from a piece of paper to reality, generating revenue, having customers, employees, So.
And it's great to see something come to life.
Absolutely.
That you build and design, and that's the addiction.
That's the addiction.
Right.
That's the addiction.
Yeah, and my coffee, iced coffee, was loaded with sugar, as well as. But yeah, it is an addiction. And we were talking before the show started, just working all the time and being excited, and it's hard to stop and separate a lot of the times when you're really connected.
That's right.
And which is a great place to be.
And I tell people, being an entrepreneur is not for everyone. I mean, it's here in this country, we have seen it over and over again. It changes lives, creates generational wealth, all of those things. But it's hard. And working.
No doubt. It'd be easier to go work for someone else.
That's right.
But
working every day for 2.5 years. Most people don't want to sign up for that.
No. And it's nice to be naive sometimes, a little, especially with me and 10 years ago starting out on my endeavor. I'm glad I didn't know. Sometimes it's good to be a little naive and you just go for it. But and I hope communities like Edge, and that's why we're there to help and provide stories. And just like you're sharing now, so many of the things that have happened throughout your life, had they not, and even, just like we said before, even some that we think are bad.
That's right.
But had they not happened, it's interesting how life plays out. And just like you mentioned, it's, taking a little bit of this, a little bit of that, all the different things that we've learned throughout our lives. And it's great to then bring
it all together.
Exactly.
Bring
into
it all
something.
together. Absolutely.
Yeah, and utilize, and then continue just learning and growing. That's
the great thing about running a company is just the wide range of things you have to deal with. It's just
What do you enjoy most about it?
For me, it's always leadership.
And seeing the other people excel.
And growing people, giving them opportunities. I love giving people an opportunity. One of the things I often do is I'll give somebody a shot that may not necessarily would have gotten that shot. And 9 times out of 10, it works out beautifully. Sometimes it doesn't, obviously, but usually those people, they're very appreciative of the opportunity. They work their butts off, and then they grow, and that's just a tremendous thing.
And I think the true purpose of a leader is to grow other leaders,
Absolutely.
right? And morph them into the beings that they're there to become.
So that is so spot on. I will tell you that this most recent company we sold about 2 years ago. So the company that acquired us was a holding company at the top, and there were 3 operating companies below. We were the 4th one. They have since acquired 2 more companies and started one. So my staff, my subordinate leaders from my company have all gotten promoted to the holding company and responsible for all of those other companies. And to me, that was a validation of the team that we had assembled. I talk a lot about, and I equate it to football. I talk a lot about with entrepreneurs. You know, you got your draft list, right? You don't have all the money in the world unless, of course, you got venture capital backing or angel investors or whatever. But regardless, you don't have unlimited resources.
Right.
So you got to put your draft list together. You know you're going to need X, you're going to need Y, you're going to need Z. But your job as the leader, as that entrepreneur, is to assemble the team that's going to go win the Super Bowl.
I like that. Assemble a team.
Assemble a team. That's right. This is a team,
winning team.
A winning team. This is a team sport, and you have to have the right people. I often talk about Jim Collins' book, Good to Great. It's kind of my Bible, and in there he talks about getting the right people on the bus, getting the wrong people off the bus, and then once
identifying that as quick as possible.
That's right, as quickly as possible, and getting those people that remain on the bus, getting them in the right seat.
Right.
And once you do that, there's nothing you can't do.
And that is a good point to bring up because, in the old school days, you were just supposed to work and have a job. You weren't supposed to, it wasn't about your passions. Obviously entrepreneurship was not a thing growing up.
Right.
It's great to see that celebrated now, right?
That's right.
But it is, now there's not that longevity, that time that you put into a corporate company. Now they're questioning, if you have 30 years with a company, they're questioning
what's wrong with you?
Right. So that is very interesting how now the tables have turned.
That's right. It is amazing and I will tell you, here in Tampa, the ecosystem to support entrepreneurs has really exploded over the last 5 or 6 years.
Yes, it has.
Starting out and starting a company, 15 or 20 years ago was radically different than now. There is a tremendous support system here. It's celebrated. We highlight it. There's a lot of capital that's flowing into this area. It is just absolutely radically different than 15 or 20 years ago.
I'm very excited to see. I joke, crazy people like me, being celebrated and providing, provided resources.
That's right.
And that they have outlets. And actually, when we launched Edge, 2013, I think it was because it wasn't just the magazine and it wasn't just the show, which actually we launched 2 years later. But it was events, it was the collaboration, it was bringing everybody together. But even early on, because I was focusing more on the ecosystem of it, having one hub, and I thought it was amazing too to bring all these like-minded people together because we often don't realize that each other is going, we're going through so many similar things, even if different industries at different phases, we can all relate to one another.
That is an excellent point because regardless of the type of company you may want to start, there are some simple truths and things that it doesn't matter if you have a product or a service or whatever. We just talked about it. You have to have the right team of people, right?
Well,
you have to have, do you have the right idea at the right time, and can you execute on that idea? Right. That's really the difference. So you're absolutely right. Like-minded people, they're going out chasing their dreams. But there are some fundamental things that pervade every single type of startup.
And it's interesting. I enjoy so much by the story sharing because it's experiences that you've gone through that someone else may not go through exactly the same thing. But again, you can apply them. One thing that I found interesting, and I kind of was kind of leading there earlier was people's talents and learning what people, where they belong and getting them in the right seat, as you mentioned. And that ties into, obviously passion and where they're going to excel most. But it doesn't, would you agree that many years ago, leaders didn't do that? Businesses weren't focused so much. Did Google come in and change like that whole culture dynamic?
No, I mean,
Zuckerberg.
No, that's a great point. I think that there's much more awareness about,
we're just getting smarter.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about the square peg in the round hole and all this other stuff, but
and the DISC evaluations and all those different personality.
That's right, ENTJs and all that craziness. But there's something to be said about that, and I've seen it over and over again. A problem employee can turn into a superstar under different set of circumstances, different expectations, different leadership, different supervisors, all of those things. So it's not necessarily a lost cause if the person's not working out. You just have to find the right place for that person. Sometimes that's not with the current organization, and I like to say I don't ever fire anybody. Sometimes they just need to go successful someplace else.
I like that.
Right.
Well, yes, and it is true. Sometimes it's a stepping stone.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to look at it. So that's your push off. That's your send off.
We need to be successful someplace else.
No, you're right. So I think the support and the leadership is key. Something that really stuck out to me after college and after I had moved here, I worked for a title company.
Oh, yeah.
And back then when I first met them, I didn't know what a title company was. But that actually led then to my real estate career because I met real estate people. But it's interesting, just the experiences that you gain from there. I had a whole point, but it's gone now. So we're just gonna talk through it. But I got it back. That comes and goes like that. So I got a bit by it, and I'm 23, 24, like right in that, young, under 25.
Yep.
And I had a spider bite, and I didn't feel well. But I had gone to the doctor and come back for lunch, and this was one of the very few jobs that I had had. I've always been independent contractor, but nonetheless, I come back and the doctor had said I should go home and lay down, right? And so I was going to go home and lay down. So I get in my car, I'm about to leave and exit, the property, and she comes out to my car and initiates me, to roll down the window. And so I roll it down and she said, if all of my employees were like you, I'd be out of business. And she turned around and walked away. And let me just say that changed my life.
Wow.
That moment, and Sherry Steele with American Home Title, I have stayed in contact with her, and I tell her that moment changed my life.
Wow.
And it really, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it, but and sometimes we need to hear that.
Absolutely.
I had never looked at it that way. I just, it's as far as not being a good employee, and the fact that she felt that, but from then on.
I would tell you that one of the things that I've also learned that we try to apply is, employees need to understand where we're going, why we're doing these things, and how they fit. I talk about over communicating, and I often go back to, believe it or not, the justice system. In the United States of America.
That football justice system. You have all these cool techniques.
Well, so think about it. Our justice system is based upon 12 people all getting in the same room and getting fed the same information. And guess what? 9 times out of 10 or 99 times out of 100, if they hear the same information, they will all arrive at the same conclusion. So if employee doesn't know, well, this is stupid, this company's messed up, because they don't understand what's truly happening. If you feed them the information, they'll say, oh,
right.
I get it. That makes perfect sense. I understand where I fit my role in this journey that we're on, this path that we're going, this objective.
And you feel like you fit and have a role and play an important role.
That's right.
Yes.
But if you don't know,
Right.
oh man, that's screwed up. Why are we doing that?
Right.
That's stupid.
I can, and while talking to so many business owners over the last year, obviously with COVID, and there's so much uncertainty and decisions that have to be made. And it's interesting. We were joking the other day that I don't think I knew what a furlough meant, before COVID.
Right.
But it
Right.
did change. And as a leader, as a leader of an organization, it is hard to know exactly, unless you have a game plan, right? What do you call it? A script?
A script, yeah.
Something to follow.
So, I'm glad you brought up the pandemic because, at the beginning, everybody was scared. We didn't know what this thing was. We didn't know how long it was going to last. We thought maybe it might be 6 weeks at the beginning, right? 6 weeks. But I think, and I talked about this not too long ago, it's incumbent upon the leaders of the organizations, whatever the organization may be, especially now, people are looking for strong, positive leadership. And there's a lot of uncertainty out there. Certainly things are looking better now.
We see a light.
Right. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. But, in going through the uncertain times, people look for leaders. And I think that's important. And, I don't care if it's at your church or your company or, in the community, people are looking for those leaders.
And direction.
That's right.
And they want to know it's going to be okay.
Yep.
And we're going to get through this. And
That's
it
right.
is nice if you give them an outline or a game plan and make it clear that we may not have all the decisions or, we may not have all the answers right now.
That's right.
But we'll adapt and adjust where we need to. And overall, you're important and you're safe. And we'll communicate 100%.
That's right. Spot on. I couldn't agree more. That is so spot on. Absolutely.
Yeah, well, and I just think it helps those people then obviously feel like they're valued. And I think the more that they feel like they're a part of something,
That's right.
the more they excel. And especially if you nurture them into, okay, I need to write this quote down and have it with me because I think I reference it every day or every time in the show, but it's the Benjamin Disraeli quote. It don't just share your riches. It's not just good enough to share your riches with someone else. Pretty much, reveal to him his own.
I love that.
Right? So
love
don't
that.
just give money or share necessarily, but share how that they can take that then and excel on their own. Benjamin Disraeli, I love that. I heard it on a Criminal Minds episode like 20 years ago. But sometimes those stick and you hear them for a reason. And I think everything that I do in my world is based around that concept.
That is fantastic. I love it. I've not heard that before, but that is spot on. I love it.
Yeah, what is your, thank you. I like it too. You can use it.
Okay.
What has been the biggest challenge do you think you faced? Like building a team together or from a startup perspective, period. You already had the money, you had all these resources.
Yeah, I think probably, over the course of all of these companies that we've done, I think the most challenging thing was when somebody questioned our integrity publicly. And there were really two camps and two reactions. I know those guys. That doesn't sound right.
Right.
Or, I knew they couldn't be that successful without cheating. And
I'm sure that's the go-to concept, especially anyone that you might be a competitor.
That's right.
They see you as.
Exactly. That's exactly right.
Competitive.
So I think anyone at any time, we have this crazy news cycle and people can post and all this other stuff and things can spiral out of control. That's why we have, contingency and crisis communications. But I think that's probably one of the biggest things, because it hurt personally that anyone would ever think that we would, lie, cheat, or steal, right? Because, growing up as a preacher's kid and going to
It's
West
hard not to take that personal.
Right.
I can see that.
Because the cadet honor code at West Point was a cadet will not lie, cheat, or steal, or tolerate those who do. And in most every company I've been a part of, whatever.
That's a great motto. Yeah.
I changed it and I said, we will never do anything illegal, immoral, or otherwise stupid. And otherwise stupid is intentionally broad, right? and
Otherwise stupid.
We will not, or otherwise stupid. I mean, there's just,
right.
there's
Don't
things.
make bad decisions. Make good decisions.
That's right.
Overall.
That's right. And then to have somebody publicly question that was probably the toughest challenge.
I can see that for sure, especially when you care so much. What is your definition of success today?
Wow. So, I'm more mature and older now. So I think that's evolved over time.
Yeah,
I think
it changes depending on when you ask people. And it's interesting after they come back.
That's
and
right.
I ask them again.
That's right. So, probably early on, most people would, define that as, with a financial or monetary perspective or, a house or a car or whatever. So I think that for me, at this point, the success for me is being happy, right? And that takes a lot of different forms. There's the health factor, right? As we have seen during the pandemic, that can change overnight and have some pretty dire consequences. So I think the health, being healthy is a great thing.
It's a blessing,
right?
yes.
And all things are possible from that. Certainly, the ability to do whatever it is you'd like to do. There's another saying that I happen to like.
I was going to ask about a favorite quote.
The luxury to come and go as you please is one that few can afford. So think about that. It's not just money, right? Can you pick up and go? Well, because you have responsibilities to your family, you have responsibilities to maybe your church or whatever that may be, but the ability to come and go as you please, that's serious.
I like that one.
That's serious. Because think about it. A guy like Jeff Bezos or Mark Zuckerberg, we've talked about some of those guys, Bill Gates. They've got a lot of money, right? But they cannot just go someplace.
It's interesting to
right?
Oh, yeah.
Because they've got to have security.
Oh, I didn't think of it from that perspective.
Right.
Right, okay.
If you've got, it's reported that Jeff Bezos just bought a 200-foot yacht. Well, you just can't park that thing anywhere you want. Right?
So there's a lot of limitations to his freedom.
Right. So, those are some outrageous examples, but, he's got to
small problems.
But he's got to think about
trillionaire,
right on hundreds of billions, right? So, but he has to think about where he goes, what he does, who's taking a picture of him, what's going to show up in the press.
I can't even imagine living
all of those things.
That scrutiny.
So again, you can define that in many, many different ways, but
to come and go
as you please.
I like that. I might use that one since we're sharing. So if you could go back as you were graduating West Point, knowing what you know now, or not going back, but what advice would you give your younger self, knowing what you know now?
Knowing what I know now. Wow, that's a great question. I would say, be more fearless.
Okay, you went to West Point.
I know, but you still, is this the right thing? Is this the right path?
You probably had to sign a release for West Point too.
But I think still to this day, you question, is this the right path? I happen to pray about it a lot.
What is your sign? When's your birthday?
I am Taurus. My birthday is in May.
I'm a Taurus. No wonder.
When do we click?
May, what are you? May when?
May 10th.
Okay, I'm the 4th.
Oh.
Yeah, so you're right there. I get, it's a sense of a mindset. For
I love
yeah.
being a tourist, and the really funny part is most of my friends are tourists too. It's really funny. It's
Well, it's interesting, and I liked psychology and astrology science, not so much for a horoscope daily, but you really can tell a lot about a person's personality. And it goes back to the whole taking things personal. You can't help but not to in the situation you just mentioned, but I think as business owners and leaders, you try not to take anything personally.
Right.
A lot of times if things are going on with other people, it doesn't have anything to do with you.
That's right.
But it's difficult sometimes, not to
internalize it and take it personally. That's right.
Right.
That's
But you learn, you learn for the most part.
Yeah, I would tell you that's a great question. If you could tell your younger self, right?
Yeah.
I'm older and wiser now, but I would say just be fearless, be aggressive, go for it.
Yeah.
What's the worst that can happen?
Right. Well, and I think that's where we get to that point. I've always just been like going for it, like and a risk taker, and I believe in hope and faith, and I just zone in onto what I feel. But a lot of times, I think it does take us to be, I guess, have more experiences because you don't want to make bad ones, So you're often off. I say all the time, making a decision is a decision by itself. So sometimes I'll get frustrated that I'm not making a decision quick enough for something.
Yep.
But I learned not to push either because things will come. But
I had one of the companies I had a business partner that really avoided making decisions, and it was very frustrating.
especially if you had the same conversations over and over again.
Well, I think most of the employees and everybody's watching is like, okay, what's the decision so we know so that we can go.
Right.
Then based on
and
that.
make other decisions.
Yeah,
Right.
Based on that, I know what I got to do and da-da-da-da. So I think it's incumbent to, you may have to change it later, but that's okay.
Right.
It's okay.
Be adaptable to change,
That's right.
and know you may have to, but just make a decision and start somewhere.
That's right.
Otherwise, I think sometimes you do get like almost crippled in not making a decision.
That's right. That's exactly right.
What is the best advice that you've ever been given?
So we had oh my gosh, I've got so many advisors and mentors. So one of my current mentors now, she always tells me, if you want something to happen, if you have an objective, you gotta let other people know so that you can enlist their help to get to where you want to be.
Right.
So
if they don't know, they can't help you.
That's right. And then the other thing, we had an advisor who was fantastic, and he would tell us once a year, you need to go off someplace quiet, without interruption, and think about what business are you in, what business should you be in, and then personally take stock of where you are as a person. So one of the things that happens in starting companies, growing companies, is, what's important to you is going to change, right? And so it's important to take stock of that. Your family situation may change. You may have kids. Your kids may go off to college. You may be an empty nester.
And you may not think they will change at the time when someone's probably, telling you that. But
that's right. And so what's important to you is going to evolve over time. Again, lots of folks want to make a bunch of money and all those types of things, and that's wonderful and great. But over time, what's important to you changes, and I think you have to take stock of that. And he suggested we do it once a year, and then you can change what you're doing.
And reinvent, or just re-spark that passion. I'm assuming, right? Is what kind of
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
That's great advice.
It's wonderful advice, and we made sure we did that religiously every year, and we always did it in conjunction with we called it an all hands. So no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing, you better be at the appointed place at the appointed time to hear live from the leadership about what we've accomplished last year and where we're going this next year. And then we would peel away and talk about, where we all stood from a personal perspective, and obviously looking at the business and what it needed to do. So I thought it was fantastic advice, and still to this day we do it.
Yeah, no, that is great advice, and I think sometimes too often you just go and you go and you go, and sometimes that is all we need.
That's right.
So talk a little bit about now you're the chairman of the board of directors for the CEO Council of Tampa Bay. So how was that experience?
So I will tell you, it has been fantastic.
Has it?
It's a lot of work.
I can imagine.
But I think during this time of the pandemic, it's been very stressful for everybody. But again, if you're running an organization, leading an organization, there are certain stresses that most people are not in tune to. So I think it's important to
talk about those.
Talk about those things,
right,
and take care of leaders. Unfortunately, we had about 2 years ago, a very senior naval officer over in the Middle East took his own life. And you'd stop and you say, why would a 3-star admiral take his own life? He's at the pinnacle of his career. But that just goes to show that everybody needs attention. They need support.
You never know what someone's going through.
That's right.
And it's often, I think, we look into or onto other people and you think they have it all together because that's what they show you. You don't know otherwise. And so you're always looking at others like as if they have it together and you're not. And it's interesting. And I think even in business sometimes we think another business, a competitor might have it together. It's interesting, even in, I've had a chance earlier on, I almost went through a merger type, I joke, we had a chance to date before we got married. But it's interesting though, because I looked at them like, I always looked down on what I was doing, not down, but you always think you can do better, right?
Absolutely.
So you look at other people and you look at, they've got it all figured out.
Right.
I realized we were about the same, but I'm like one person doing it and they're like 5, right?
Exactly.
So it's interesting. So you mentioned the book earlier. Oh, Good to Great. What's another one of your go-tos?
Oh, wow. So there's a subsequent book that Jim Collins did, and he did a look at falling out of grace and these companies that were once great and their downfalls. So
is that what it's called? Falling out of grace? It seems like I've heard that, or somebody's.
It escapes me at the moment.
Often.
It escapes me at the moment, but it's another book by Jim Collins, and those books are not just somebody's opinion. There's a lot of data and analysis that goes into it, and they draw conclusions from the data. But there are just plenty of examples. In the last 20 or 30 years, I mean, Blockbuster, right? I mean,
that is a great story. Yes, we were with USF. They had I think that was it was Netflix. They had one of the co-founders for Netflix, but that was an interesting story because they went to Blockbuster and tried to get them to even to work with them.
And they said nope. And guess what happened?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And
they weren't adaptable. They didn't see the need. They were doing good.
We're good. Don't worry. Yeah.
You might be.
Go away.
Yeah.
And so, especially now, and I tell people, other leaders that, there's some kid in Silicon Valley that's going to disrupt your business model, right? Now, I will tell you what happened, last year. It wasn't, some kid in Silicon Valley. It was a pandemic. It was a virus. But it certainly has changed business models. I was talking just yesterday to a crowd, and we were talking about Carnival Cruise Lines.
Okay. Oh, wow.
Okay. So if I had $1 billion I would go start a cruise line right now. And you guys say, "What? You have got to be kidding me. You can't even, who wants to go on a cruise?" Well, think about it. So Carnival Cruise Lines has 10 cruise lines. They have 100 ships, right? And all of those ships are designed to have thousands and thousands of people on these ships. So this is the best time to go in.
Oh, because it has vaccines?
Well, not because they have the vaccines, remake the model.
Oh, well, yes.
What, people don't want to be on a ship with 5,000 people anymore. So now is the time to remake that industry. Be the disruptor. Instead of having 100 ships with 5,000 people on each ship, maybe you want 1,000 ships that are much smaller.
Right.
So remake
And
that.
larger, where you can utilize space differently.
Absolutely.
And have separate areas and maybe time frames
And-
where different people are utilized. And then you could actually enjoy it a little
right.
more.
And it's
Right.
give the people what they want.
Right.
It's just an
And
example.
listen, I guess that's a great tip, right? Listen.
That's
listen.
right.
Listen to your customers and,
Right.
and what they're saying, and I guess read between the lines sometimes. Or because a lot of times they don't know necessarily what it means, but that's why you have brilliant people on your team. So
team.
that you can evaluate all the information.
That's exactly right. And that's one example. Maybe it's not the right example, but
That's a good one.
it represents an opportunity. And as we were saying just the other day, you can look in the rearview mirror,
Right.
and try to save the legacy revenues, what we talked about.
Right.
Or you can seize the opportunity.
Right.
Seize the day.
That's a great place to end it. Like we're just about out of time, and that I think that's what it's about. That's what entrepreneurship is about. It's about seizing the opportunities, being aware of them, and then bringing the right team together, right? To facilitate, execute, and then just do and repeat, right? Just keep doing it over. Hugh, thank you so much for being with us. This has been fun.
Thank you so much for having me.
We could talk forever.
That's right.
Yes, thank you so much, and good luck with. I didn't even get to have a chance to ask about what's next, but we'll have to talk more. We'll have to bring you back on, and you can
Sounds great.
talk more and keep us informed on that. But no, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thanks. I enjoy so much learning from everybody, and just thank you so much for being here. Check out edgemediahub.com. Again, sign up for our newsletters, subscribe to the magazine. Make sure you stay up to date with everything Edge. Until next time, never stop dreaming. Thanks.